Join me every month for the inspiration to find your finish line. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Find Your Finish Line. I'm your host, Mike Riley, and this podcast is not only about you being able to find your finish line at a race or an event, but how about in life? Every day we've got to find those mini finish lines, then the bigger ones and bigger ones. And if you keep moving forward, you're going to do that. And I talk to people that have jumped over a lot of hurdles. Some of them knocked them down, but they got back up. And the reason they did is because they knew they had a finish line in front of them and they wanted to get there. Athletes and coaches, if you want to take a look at a fantastic training program, check out Training. Training has a ton of AI tools for coaches and athletes to be able to train with. The likes of Mark Allen, McKeely Jones, Marinda Carfey are part of this system. You coaches, you can really try to help your athletes with this type of program. So check it out, everybody. Training. I'm so excited to have my guest on today. We've known each other for quite some time, haven't had a lot of conversation together. But before we got on, he said, Mike, I think we're always on the same page. And I think we are. When you have a mindset that success is something that is yours for the taking, but sometimes it's hard to do that. It's a good lesson in life, but you never can stop striving. And he has done some things that we all just would absolutely dream about. 50 long distance triathlons, 140.6 mile races in 50 days in 50 states. How about 100 of them in a row? 100 of them in a row. James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy, originally from Canada, now living with his beautiful wife, Sunny, and his 5 children in Utah. James, how are you today, brother?
Mike, I am absolutely amazing, and it's just kind of nostalgic to just hear your voice. You are obviously the voice of Ironman and have been for my entire amazing career that I've been able to participate in. And you've greeted me across many finish lines, and so just an absolute honor to be here and to just like soak in some of your knowledge today. Like I'm here, not. I know we want to talk about my story, but I just love, like, you have seen so many incredible stories cross the finish line, and hopefully we'll get you on my podcast, The Grit Show, and we can have, dive into a lot of the stuff you did. But man, what an honor, Mike. Thank you so much for having me out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And I even, I pulled it out. My old Lubbock, Texas cowboy hat, Iron Cowboy.
Yeah.
I did a race in Lubbock, and this was my payment. No, not really, but it was part of the deal, and I cherish it. And every time we go out cowboy-wise, I've got that baby on.
Awesome, man.
James, my first question always to all my guests, and this one for a guy like you might be a bit funny. What kind of workout did you get in today? Did you?
Yeah, as we age, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, we have to put a lot more attention and detail to the smaller, finer things in fitness. And so I've really embraced a yoga routine.
Good for
And
you.
this morning I got into that. And in fact, I just finished doing a guided Chris Nikic through the Chicago Marathon. And what an amazing experience. And those of you that don't know his story, he's a Down syndrome young man that found he watched our documentary and found triathlon, and him and his dad said, man, if that guy can do 50, I can do 1. And 4 years ago started Chris on that journey, and what an honor to pace him through the Chicago Marathon last weekend. And now I've got my sights set on the Cape Epic, which is
I know.
an 8-day mountain bike stage race in South Africa. It'll be my second time there. And so after my yoga today, jumped on the bike and hammered out a good power session today. So I'm in my winter power build to get ready for that. It's in March. And so today was yoga, bikes, and then a great lift session. I believe all athletes, especially triathletes, should have a strength training program that they're doing, especially in the off season. It will change the way you experience your on season.
No doubt. And that weight training, it's interesting. We share a bit of a connection, another connection. I don't know if you know about this, of wrestling. I wrestled in high school and college, and I I have push-up bars in the ground. I can't walk by those push-up bars. I got to pump 10, 12 out, and then go run in there and come back pumping out. What is it about us wrestlers? We always got to, I'd love working with weights and, pushing around the iron, but something about the sit-ups, push-ups, burpees, that stuff you do under your own power, it really works.
Well, I love it. I didn't know you were a wrestler, man. Yeah, wrestling was such a passion of mine. And, you get out of high school and college and you don't have an outlet anymore. And ultimately, that's what drove me to triathlon. It was something that I could do, be competitive in, go up against other people in my same age bracket. And really,
Yeah.
that's where my journey shifted, was from wrestling to triathlon. Let me ask you this: did you guys ever do the pegboard, where you got the two
Yeah.
wooden pegs and you
Oh
got to
my
go
God.
up?
Yeah. Pump and go up, go up, go up. We would
Yeah,
have to do that and pull-ups behind the back, behind the neck after practice. I'm thinking, what is coach crazy? We just went through 2.5 hours of killing each other, and now we got to do this.
yeah. It's interesting. I've just been motivated right now. I'm after this interview. I'm going to go buy a pegboard and put it up in my gym. I've got a
Oh,
14-year-old boy, and I think it's great for developing mental toughness, and body weight stuff is so great. And he's starting to get into weights and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go buy one and put it up in my gym this week.
I've told people all along, I think I learned I did. It set me up in my foundation, as probably yours. The losses I had, and how I got my butt kicked from some guys wrestling, going, crawling off the mat. I suck. How did I lose to him? But even today, that foundation of those losses did me a lot more good than the wins.
I guarantee you, the lessons I learned over 8 years of wrestling have served me well. And in fact, if I had like a magic wand, Mike, if I had a magic wand,
Yeah.
I would say that every young man and every young woman has to do 2 years of either combat or fighting, some type
Mm-hmm.
of
Mm-hmm.
martial arts. Just the discipline you learn, the mental toughness, the grit, the respect, all of it. Like that would be like, if I could create one global law, it would be that every young person has to do 2 years of either military or MMA, mixed martial arts type fighting.
Something about that mano a mano, huh? I mean, it builds. It doesn't break down. It absolutely builds. I
Well,
got
I
a
love
funny story about the wrestling. The high school that's down the street from the house here in Poway, California, they've won the state title in California 4 or 5 times. Just an amazing program. Start the kids out in 6th grade. I take my son when he was an 8th grader, and I take him to a tournament there. And I wrestled, and my brother wrestled. My brother was an All-American. And okay, Andy, maybe he'll like to wrestle in high school. He was a baseball player and basketball player. We go to the meet. He's watching. It was halfway through. He looked at me and says, Dad, nope, I'm sticking with baseball. I said, okay. You can't push him. And he played baseball after college. You got paid for it. So it was a good path, but it was so funny and I remember calling my brother going, Andy doesn't want to wrestle, like.
I,
What?
I, I was devastated when my son, we tried it for a season, and we have a rule: if you start the season, you got to finish it, and so at
Yeah.
least he did that. But he just didn't gravitate towards it. But man, we've got 5 kids, and I think it's a disservice when parents try to live their dreams and
Oh,
passions
true.
through their kids. And so I just try to give my kids a lot of opportunities to try a lot of different things. Um, and ultimately, he gravitated towards lacrosse and
Oh, beautiful.
absolutely loves it. And so it's been a lot of fun to watch him grow and develop these skills. And he's in 8th grade, but he's like, dude, I want to play high school. I want to go to college. I want to get a scholarship. And he's kind of found his path in lacrosse. And I didn't grow up on lacrosse. I had to learn the sport too. But it's awesome to watch him like grow and flourish in something that he has a passion for.
It's a great sport. Fantastic sport. Well, let's jump into the fray of, when obviously you've finished a lot of races that I was able to call you in, as you said, and then you set a goal for yourself. Why not do 50 of those in 50 states, 50 days in a row? When that first came out and I first read about it, I never say to someone, there's no way you can do that, since it's never been done before. I just always said to myself, God, I hope you push through it and you don't get injured or something bad happen, where it sets you aside. But during that time, you've got to stay mentally tough. And you had a lot of naysayers and adversity come your way, during it all. How were you able to block that out so that your mission, your goal could keep continuing? Because you hear it, but you don't hear it.
Yeah.
It infiltrates, but it doesn't. And I've heard things and go, why'd they say that? I didn't, and then you push it out. So how'd you deal with that, James?
Yeah, my great question. I think in life, like with anything, and you'll probably resonate with this, but as you age, we hopefully mature and learn from experiences that we've had. But ultimately, we get to make choices every single day, and one of the choices is where we get to put our focus and attention, and what we allow to penetrate in, and what fuels us, and we can, you know we can have negative self talk or positive self talk. We can listen to negative chatter or surround ourselves with uh, cheerful and joyful and positive things. And that is it. That is a choice that we get to do, and how we receive that every single day. And so I've just really learned to eliminate the channels in my life where negative chat is coming from. I don't give it any power or any attention. And early in my career, when this really started to happen, and I've always just been shocked with the culture and mindset of people of not wanting to see other people win. I just don't understand this. And so for me, I just set myself up eliminating channels of negativity, and really started to surround myself and only consume things that were lighthearted and powerful. And that really helped us start to navigate our journey, because we all have that choice on what we consume, who we put around ourselves. And at the end of the day, it was me that had to believe in me, and it was me that had to trust in my team. And early on, I had the attitude of like, dude, I'm going to show you that I can do this, and you don't know what you're talking about. And it was just in this negative, angry
Mm-hmm.
approach. And I had a switch go off one day, and I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. This is my journey, and I get to learn the I get to learn the lessons I need to learn along the way. And as soon as I shifted that thought process to, you know what? I'm going to have an experience. I'm going to prove myself right, and I'm going to navigate this for my growth, and I'm going to push my personal limits. And even though the outcome would maybe been the same of I'm going to prove you wrong, or I need to prove myself right, like this belief, this is way more positive, and it just shifts the energy and how you operate, and it actually it's freeing. It frees you from that negative, that like I'm going to show you. And some people are driven by that, and they need it. Like David Goggins is a person that's like fueled by people that trash talk and all these things. Like that's just who he is and how he navigates. And for me, it's just been like, dude, I'm not even going to pay any attention to that. This is my journey. I'm going to serve my higher good, and I'm going to try to bring as many people as long as with me. And I don't have any time or energy for anything else.
Oh, those 50, 50 days in 50 different states. I've seen you talk about it and write about it. That a big part of it was a nightmare, just because you're away from home, the family strain, the stress, them coming to watch and then going back home, and the whole deal. What part of it didn't you like?
Well, it was amazing, because on the 50, so the in 2012 we did 30 official events
Right.
through 11 countries. Those are the races you would call me in at, and that's where I'd be like away and come home, and the kids sometimes would come, and when they could, and when they were stateside, but it was through 11 countries. So I was in and out, and that was really really hard to navigate and to be away from them. I mean, at that part of our journey, my kids were like 10 and under,
Mm.
right? And then when we set out on the journey to do the 50, we were like, this is a family affair, and we're in this together, and we're going to have experience, and the kids are going to do something really cool every single day in every state. Um, and what people don't realize, like outside of the physical and mental accomplishment that was, this was this was a logistical feat. Um, I don't know if people recognize how big the United States is, and how difficult it is to go every single day to a new state and then do 140.6 miles. Like that's, this, it's a full day for even the fastest guys. It's a full day of effort and energy and exertion, and then to figure out how to navigate to the next state the next day. And to do that for 7 consecutive weeks, no days off. And every single day, you asked what was the hardest part, is every single day you're walking into a brand new environment that you've
Yeah.
never been into, dealing with new people, new personalities, and you have no idea the complications that are going to confront you every single day. And if we can compare that to life, like, we truly have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, the conflict that's going on in other countries right now, they didn't know they were going to wake up to that conflict tomorrow, right? And then they did. And so you always have to be ready to navigate, and that's why you have to show up on your journey. And we call it being game ready. You got to be game ready
Mm.
to be able to navigate the challenges and the adversity. And what's happening is we're seeing people like shut down, isolate themselves, sit in a dark area, and focus on the things that are going wrong, and they just spiral out of control. And so the hardest thing for us was like every day was a new challenging environment. Every day we were meeting new people and learning how to work with a new team. And that, as you move across the country, you have to learn, because you're either going to quit or you're going to become master problem solvers. And we adapted the mindset of like, this is happening, and we just have to figure out how to navigate the challenges and adversity that are being put in front of us.
Your challenges for gosh, I followed you every day on the 100 in a row. You got to do them at home in Utah, which was a little bit less of a strain because you could just do it at home, around your beautiful state. But that became, because you hurt yourself a little bit, and then it was like, I want to say between the 70th and 80th day, I don't know, I could see something in you. You were pushing forward. There might have been a little doubt, but you were still pushing forward. Did you feel that about that stage of it, around that 70th, 80th? It's what I noticed about your personality, people around you.
Yeah.
It seems like it was, oh my gosh, I got 20 more to go. You got so many done, but you're going, I got 20 more to go.
Well, it's fascinating with the whole 100 journey is leading up to the 50. We broke the half Ironman world record, the full Ironman
Mhm.
world record, then did the 50 consecutive 140.6 distance over 50 days, and that was all in consecutive order, all in a
Mhm.
time frame where we were building the foundational blocks. We were gaining knowledge, gaining experience, getting stronger. I did Kona the year
Yeah.
before the 50, and so I was in peak shape. I was really racing well. I was 39 years old. I was just really in my prime. And after the 50, we got pushed into, not pushed, but like the demand for speaking and coaching and helping
Mm.
people, starting to win the conversations with themselves. And I had shifted my focus.
Mm.
And for 5, 6 years, I was traveling. We've now spoken in 54 countries around the world. And we were coaching, we were mentoring, we were doing a lot of things, and I was still trying to stay active and doing races, but I put on 15 pounds, 20 pounds. And in racing, like
Yeah.
165 to 190 is a very big difference.
Yeah. Putting that heavy backpack on your back on the bike, you feel it.
Dude, power to weight is so big in this sport. And so when the pandemic hit and the world shut down and coaching and racing and speaking was all taken off the table, I'd always said to myself, "Ah, I wanted to redo the 50, but never wanted to displace my family. And I've got the 4 teenage girls now, and my son's getting older, and I can't disrupt their lives." But when the pandemic hit, it was like an opportunity to reset my own history and eliminate some of the controversy that happened and the questionable
Mm.
moments. And it was really, it became this personal journey for me, like, to again prove myself right. And in the process, it would silence all the critics. And so, literally, Mike, it was a 4-month training camp to get ready for 100 consecutive full distance triathlons. To put that into perspective, that's 14,000 plus miles, no days off. It's a quarter of a year doing 140.6 miles, swim, bike, run. And it's just, when you say it like that, it's just the enormity of it. And by day 5, because we ramped, you have to slowly ramp your training up. And just from experience, I was like, okay, I got stronger throughout the 50. I'm going to use the first 50 full distance triathlons as a training block. Well, by day 5, I was already developing stress fractures in my shins. I
Yeah.
literally was broken. I was waiting for the step my leg was going to break. And then it became this like incredible challenge of mental toughness and just dragging a broken old body through 140.6 miles a day. And you're exactly right. Your observations are spot on. By day by day 50, I was so thrilled by 51 because I got to reset my own history. We did it to perfection. Every moment was outside in rain, snow, sleet,
Yeah.
hail, wind, whatever. I mean, we had incredible weather that year. And then day 51, 52, 53, and then day 59 happens, and I was in a very bad bike crash. And we found out after it was all over that I actually broke my L5 vertebrae in that crash and had to do 41 of these in extreme pain and discomfort, not realizing that we had broken my back. And by day 70 or 80, I was like, this can't get any worse. And what's fascinating is watching the public's perception change as you move the bar or the ceiling. Because you may not know, but in 2012, the world record, Guinness World Record, was 20 official Ironman events through around the world. And it was held by a guy from Belgium. And I came out and I said I wanted to do 30. And they were like, why not just do 21? And I was like, because I believe that 30 is a benchmark that I can hit. And so we put that on the calendar. So now I'm at day 80 of the 100. I've already done 80 consecutive, Mike,
I know.
and I have 20 more to go. And the reason I brought up 2012 because the world record was 20 in a year, and I still had 20 consecutive more to go. And this is the fascinating part. Because we established ourselves as who we were and what we were capable of doing, the public would send messages and they would say, "You're so close. It's only 20 more to go." And so how did the conversation change from 20 is the world record, 30 is impossible, to now I've done 80 and you only have 20 more to
20.
go. So it was fascinating for me to watch the psychology of people change and that benchmark or ceiling move when somebody does it. It's like the 4 minute mile. Now college kids do it, right? And now it's just become normal. In fact, dude, the guy just last week at Chicago ran a 4:36 average pace,
Yeah.
2 hours and 36 minutes. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, no way marathoners 10 years ago would have been like, yeah, 2 hours and 36 seconds. That's gonna be the
Reachable.
mark.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the mark. It's unbelievable the way the benchmark keeps moving and changing. And so it was a fascinating thing for me to observe, like the way that if someone does it, it changes the perception of what reality is. And so by day 80, you were right. I was completely broken mentally, physically, spiritually. I was dealing with this incredible back pain. I had done 80 consecutive. And on that day, I pulled out my phone. I was going to give an update to social media. And I went live. I went live on my way to the
That's what.
swim, and I just said the words, and it was all I could get out. I was gonna like lie, and I was gonna give this amazing, positive, upbeat, because we try to be positive and we try to give people hope. And I was just gonna like tell people how great I was feeling, and I was so overwhelmed with that moment on day 80, where you saw that shift happen, and the words that came out of my mouth were the following, and I said, "I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try today." And that's literally all I could get out. And that is a huge message that I want to convey to people. Like when you are broken, when you think it's impossible, when you feel the weight on your shoulders, you don't have to do everything in one moment. All you have to do is get up today and try. And you just have to try to move the needle a little bit. Because on any journey, there's going to be easier moments. There's going to be moments where the time flies by and it's ease. And then there's going to be moments where, like, one pedal stroke seems impossible. And those are the days where you just have to get up and try. And on that journey, that 100 consecutive, day 80 was kind of that turning point where I just said, look, I can't control 10 minutes from now. I can't control tomorrow. I can't control day 100. The only thing I can control right now is my effort and how I'm showing up. And if I can manage this moment, the next moment takes care of itself. Tomorrow takes care of itself. And we're living in a crazy moment in this world where, one, we're fixated on our past mistakes, the errors that we've made, and we're not giving ourselves the grace to forgive ourselves for making mistakes. And I truly believe that making mistakes are a gift, and that's how we learn and grow. And then the other side of that coin is we're staring into the future, worrying about the worst case scenario that hasn't happened yet. And everybody needs to just like take a deep breath, pause, and be right here in this moment. This conversation with you, Mike, right now is the only thing that matters to me because it's where I am right now. And I want to give you all my love and all of my energy and and everything because that's what matters. And if I can take care of right now, dinner's going to happen. And I don't need to
It
worry about
will.
that right now.
And, James, you mentioned it's true. If you live in the present and don't worry about those failures of the past, hopefully you've learned from them. But what I found is, especially for so many people I've talked to and seen and witnessed, the person that moves forward, goes out and gets that workout in, takes care of themselves, eats well, is a good family person. If they're living a life like that, the past, they don't talk about it because they're looking forward to the next thing they can accomplish. That's why I'm such a true believer of people doing something hard every day, because that hard thing is usually something you're going to push yourself on. And then you don't think about what's behind you because you're going, I'm doing this today. I'm doing my 100-mile ride, or I'm doing 100 push-ups, or whatever it may be, or I'm doing a New York Times crossword puzzle. Oh my God, that'd drive me crazy. But you try it. So that's why I think our messages of making sure you do something hard every day, get out there and do something physically and mentally, you're not going to worry about the past. James, when was it?
Just real quick
Yeah.
with that thought process, I love to ask people the question: when was the last time you intentionally became uncomfortable?
Mm.
And I love that you just kind of covered that, because this is a truth that I've realized, and this is a gift that I'm gonna give to people right now, and hope that you can implement this in your life. You have to seek out opportunities to become uncomfortable. Because if you always choose the path of least resistance, if you always choose comfort, eventually you will not have a choice. And you will only be living in discomfort. You will be broke. You will be homeless. You won't have any friends. You won't have any relationships. You'll be trapped in anxiety and depression. But if you intentionally seek out discomfort from time to time, you're allowed to enjoy comfortable things. But if you intentionally or on a daily basis take moments where you can seek out that discomfort, you will always have an option to be comfortable or
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. But if you only seek comfort, if you're unwilling to sacrifice your comfort today, eventually you will no longer have an option, my friend, and you will only be living in a state of discomfort.
I don't know about you, but I always have this. I can only sit down and watch a baseball game on TV or rest or whatever after I did something uncomfortable, did something hard. When I do it and I didn't get a workout in it, I go, what do you got your butt sitting here for? Get out. It's like I can only relax after I do that type of stuff.
And we need to stop comparing ourselves against everybody else as far as like
Yeah.
what's their hard, what's uncomfortable for them, because we're all at different parts of our journey. And like right now, this is going to sound crazy. Right now, my hard is that morning yoga routine. Man, it it destroys me. It's hard. I'm not flexible. I'm not bendy. My
Hmm.
body hurts at this point. Like I want that back. And so on the simplest level, my hard right now is doing that yoga practice every single morning and making myself uncomfortable. So stop comparing yourself to everybody out there,
Yeah.
and be present on your journey. Meet yourself where you're at, and continue to move that bar and that ceiling for you as an individual.
So you've accomplished so much physically and mentally. I know there's a lot more on your plate moving forward, which is great. But when did the light go on for James Lawrence that this was going to be your path in life? This is the way you wanted to direct your life, run your life. When did a light go on? Like this is me. This is, was it before? Was it when Sonny introduced you to doing your first marathon, or when
Yeah.
did that light go on for you?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know that the light's gone on yet, and I don't even know.
Whoa, whoa.
I don't even know my true path, and I don't know that any of us know our true paths. And the problem is everyone's sitting at home waiting for their purpose and their passion to knock on their door and slap them across the face. And I might change careers 3 more times. I mean, I'm 47 years old. I plan to live to 100. I'm not even 50% of the way through my life. Like the things I now am going to learn and grow and experience because I'm choosing to show up in my life, like that is my path. And I think people have forgotten to do 2 things. They've forgotten how to dream, and they've forgotten to listen to their intuition and their heart. And they're so set on, dude, I need to be an astronaut. I need to be a police officer. I need to be a firefighter. I
Mm.
need to be an accountant. I need to be a lawyer. Stop it. Change careers. Do something new. If you're 60 right now, go try something new. Like, it's okay. You're going to suck at something for the very first time when you do it. And we're so scared to be judged by other people because we're going to fail in the beginning. We're not going to be the expert when we start. And that's okay. That's the whole point. And so for me, honest with you, Mike, I haven't found my path yet because I don't think there is a path. I think I'm going to continually to adapt and to evolve. And that goalpost is always going to be moving. I heard Ed Milet say one time, the greatest regret we're going to have is when we get to the finish line and we realize we didn't reach our truest and full potential. And I don't know what that path is. I don't know who that is yet. It's always moving because I'm continually changing and growing. I think it's so funny when somebody says, "Man, you've changed. You're not the same person when
I
you were
know.
30." And I'm like, "Holy hell. If I'm the same person as I'm 30, I am failing in my life." Mike, are you the same person you were in your 20s to your 30s to your 40s?
Not 5 years ago either.
Not
You
5
know?
years ago, exactly. And so, like, I'm so thrilled when somebody says, "You've changed." I'm like, "Yes, thank you." Because it's a disaster if you're not doing anything in your life that you're the same person you were when you were 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and going forward.
I had a buddy that when that was said to him, matter of fact, we went to high school together. We'd go to high school reunions. And one time they said, God, Billy, you've changed. He goes, yes, I have for the better. And they look at him, oh, okay, oh, that's good. No, what do you think I'm going to do? Going backwards here? I love it. What do you want? What do you want your children to learn from all this? I mean, actions speak louder than words, but obviously you've got 5 children and you want, like everybody, you want to see them succeed and be happy and do the things they want to do. What do you want them to learn from dad?
Yeah, Sonny and I make a great team, and none of
Mm.
this happens without a tight family unit and having an incredible support system like Sonny. And her and I really have just tried to show up in our lives, try to include the kids, and just try to be the best examples we can. And man, parenting's hard, and trying to be good examples is hard, and we struggle every single day, and we try to make the right decisions, but we're not perfect. And for me, it's the one of the greatest gifts we've been able to give our kids is giving them a front row seat to
Mm.
watching us struggle and cry and face adversities and lose everything and come together and build it back up again. Um, and my kids, man, that just by observing and watching us not quit on ourselves and our journey and love each other, and they've learned grit, toughness, resilience. And we've got 5 kids, and we have an open house policy where friends can come here. And in fact, I'd rather have the party at my house so
Yep.
that I know what my kids are doing and who they're hanging out with.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and we've got a very, very extensive family with a lot of nieces, a lot of nephews, and I love to just observe to see who's doing what, how they're developing, what parents are, what kids are coming from what parents, and the examples that they've set in their lives, and ultimately my kids just really show up in their lives by choice. They don't quit on things. They work really hard. They have great expectations for themselves. They've learned to have fun. They've learned
Mm.
to recognize their failures and try to turn them into strengths. They've learned to be positive. They've learned that who they surround themselves matters. And so it's been just an unbelievable gift that we can give our kids to allow them literally that front row seat to adventure and
Hmm.
to fun. And all my kids are so different. It's crazy if you've got kids out there, it's crazy, man. How are these kids so different? They came from the same 2 people in the same
Yeah.
environment all the time, and the same lessons and the same. But man, just allow your kids to be who they are, and your job as a parent is to guide them, give them grounding principles, and to cultivate who they are.
Yeah.
And it's just been a lot of fun to watch my kids grow up, and I've got one my oldest is getting married in January, and 2 that are graduating. It's just fun to watch your kids and be involved with them.
I'm telling you, wait till the grandkids come.
Oh,
I've
I
got
can't wait.
2 boys, 8-year-old and 5-year-old, and my daughters. And I tell my son and daughter, I like these a lot better than you guys. Something about grandchildren. They just own you. It's the best. It's the absolute best.
Well, and my wife, by intent and on purpose, she we got married very young. She was 19. I was 24. And she said, I want to have a lot of kids and I want to have them really young. And she had
Hmm.
all five kids before she was 28 years old.
Wow.
And it's because she's always said, I want to be a young grandma to all of my grandkids. And I
Good.
want to be able to have the energy to play with them and to spoil them, to have experiences with them. And Sunny and I literally grew up together, and we're about to celebrate 23 years of marriage, and we grew up together. And now that we have these four teenage girls and adult girls, they're our best friends. And
Hmm.
we get to do things with them, and they become these real people. And we're so excited for that. I mean, I'm still young too. I'm 47, and grandkids are going to be on their way very shortly. And we're very excited for that next chapter when it happens, and
Yeah.
we're not gonna shy away from it.
It's a beautiful thing, but I got to tell you, we were at the baseball field with my 8-year-old playing, and we were heading to the car, and I said, Graham, I'll race you to the car. He's getting faster now, and I can still, put it out. So we take off, and what happened? My hammy starts. I was just staying around watching the game for 3 hours, and I take off, and I go, oh no, don't let this thing go. So I started limping, and he beat me. I beat you, Pa. I go, yeah, you did. I wasn't gonna pull my hamstring.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point now where my son he's developing muscles and strength, and we're working out in the gym, and sometimes we'll like lock and just kind of grab, and I'm like, oh, he's
Oh,
getting stronger. Like that
yeah.
day's gonna come, Mike, when I need to be careful. I can handle him. I can handle him now, but there's gonna become a day where he's gonna get the best of me.
Yeah, dude, I saw you in an MMA fight. Seriously? You
Yeah, I
did?
mean,
Oh my gosh. I was just,
I'll share that story real quick. So we raise money for charity all the time, and
right.
I do not consider myself a celebrity in any stretch of the imagination, but locally I'm a little bit known.
Yeah.
And they were putting on a big event, and they said, "Hey, will you fight in the main event?" And they gave me 8 weeks notice, and immediately I said no. I'm like, "No way am I doing that." And 24 hours go by, and the reason I said no, Mike, was because it scared me and it made me uncomfortable. And then I thought that's the exact reason why I need to do it, because there's something I need to learn and there's growth that I need to experience. And so I took the fight, and I got a
Wow.
coach and a trainer, and we went through an 8 week training camp. And I got to tell you what I learned in those 8 weeks and in that ring was invaluable. I've now made it a motto in my life. Like, I need to try to find a reason to say yes to opportunity, especially when it scares me. And when it scares me and makes me nervous, I know I have to say yes, because that
Mm.
goes right back to being uncomfortable and challenging yourself. Because ultimately, we have to overcome our fears in life, and that's when growth happens. And I'm so grateful that I said yes to that experience. And it maybe helped that I knocked him out in 33 seconds.
Yeah.
And my arm was raised, and I got to have an amazing experience with my kids front row and ringside, and 2,000 people erupt in the stadium. But it, just such a valuable lesson for me to, under continue to practice what I preach. And when something really scares you, it's like, damn it, I have to say yes.
So you did Ironman Arizona in 2012. And afterwards, you said, here you did an Ironman, you had a great race, you did a lot of Ironman, you felt empty. What do you think happened? Why'd you feel empty after doing? I don't get that a lot. I don't get people come up to me after doing a Ironman and saying I felt empty, Mike. I understand it, but tell us about it.
Yeah, that race in Arizona, that was race 27 of 30 in that world record year. We had already broken the world record. We were padding the stats. We were doing victory laps. And when I expressed that sentiment to you, it was real. And what I realized, like, the journey was quickly coming to a close. And the reason I felt empty is because I've recognized that the value on any journey isn't that finish line. It's the journey to get to that line. And in fact, I'm trying to get to more start lines now, and the finish line isn't as important to me. And I'll always get to the finish line, but it's now creating opportunities and adventures to get to start lines. And and ultimately, it's what you learn, who you meet, the relationships that you have, the growth that you experience on that journey. And so when I express that to you, is because I realized in that moment, like, this journey is about to come to an end, and I don't
Mm.
know what the next journey is. And again, it wasn't about that finish line. We were so close to that finish line that that wasn't the point. And I realized in that moment in my career, like the point is the grind, the hustle, the highs and lows, the everything that we learn on that. And in fact, when I'm not like showing up in my journey, I talk a lot about the bully inside of our heads. And and when you're not making yourself uncomfortable and you're experiencing comfort for a long period of time, that bully in your head isn't there.
Hmm.
And a lot of people are trying to silence and get rid of that bully, but I've learned to recognize that bully as an ally. And he lets me know when I'm showing up in my journey or not. And so if I haven't heard from the bully inside my head for a long time, I know I'm not progressing. And I know I'm not on the path towards a new start line, which is the exact reason why I said yes to that fight. Because I knew it was going to scare me, and I knew there was going to be a journey to get me into that ring. And in fact, we coach a lot of athletes, and I tell them all the time, the finish line is the start line of your event, and it's getting to that start line where you're going to learn the most, where you're going to
Hmm.
grow, where you're going to face those challenges. The actual Ironman, that day of that event where you're going to eventually hear Mike Riley call your name, that's the victory lap. That's the celebration. That swim, that bike, that run, that's just your reward for being on that journey. And so that's kind of the sentiment behind, that comment that I made to you in Arizona.
I would say things that advanced through the years and really only say them because I don't know, I thought of it on the spur of the moment. And one time, gosh, 10, 15 years ago, everybody's in the water in front of me and I see all these scared looks, because not everybody's the swimmer and there's 4 minutes to go before the cannon goes off. And I said, you know what? You in my book, you're all champions. You're at the start line. And the roar came up like, oh, yes, I am. And so many people afterwards said, that got me through. I was a champion even before it started. I go, yeah, you went through all the pain and suffering and sacrifice to even get to the start line. So I love when you talk about that because it's so true because there's so many that don't get to the start line. They're
Well,
afraid.
well, the reality is like, if you're going to the gym, you start to compare yourself against the
Mm.
other people at the gym. If you're at an Ironman event, you're comparing yourself against the other 2,000 plus athletes that are there at that event. What we seem to forget is the people that are at that event are the one percenters. Everybody else didn't even have the courage to show up and go through the pain and the
Hmm.
adversity to get to that start line. And I think it was brilliant when you said that, and it's so accurate. Like, let's celebrate that moment and let's stop comparing ourselves to the 10-hour guy, the 12-hour guy, the
Yeah.
14-hour guy. You're all in the arena fighting at that moment. And like I said, anytime I got to the start line, everything after that was the victory lap. Because it is so hard to get to a start line injury free, not burnt out, still
Hmm.
married. All these things
Yeah.
that you've probably seen in abundance. Like getting to that start line, that is the victory. And again, we need to stop comparing ourselves to the people that are in the arena because the amount of people that actually get in the arena is very, very small.
So Ironman is a big part of your life, and this is from me personally because when I started discovering that you and Ironman were having some difficulties and on the back and forth, and I don't know, it just really bothered me because it's not like kumbaya. I want everybody to be happy. I just want everybody to be able to get along in our sport because that's how it's going to grow. How is that relationship today?
Yeah, it's actually good. I mean, obviously Iron Man is it's the monster. I mean, they are the flagship. People don't know what a long distance triathlon is. They know what an Ironman is.
Mm.
And I've been a champion for this brand for 20 years, Mike. I send thousands of athletes to the platform. I coach athletes to that platform. I just, it was hard for us as a family, when we would get the cease and desist letters from the corporation, and we were just like, man, we're doing everything we can to push people towards this experience. We know how special it is, and so it was just hard. And the relationship is what it is. I mean, they've obviously done an amazing job, but I think everybody can recognize that they've made some missteps. And the pandemic was obviously an impossible situation,
Hmm.
and so many people handled it in different ways. And there's a lot of opinions out there on how they did it. And now the current controversy with moving away from Kona and splitting up the men and women races, and it's hard to know those conversations that are going on in the back room. And eventually I had to have a conversation with Andrew Messick and have a dialogue, and I believe now we're over all of those hurdles. And
Good.
and thankfully I'm at the end of my like really competitive career where like I need those races and those platforms, and I'm getting into just more like adventure kind of racing. I'm big into mountain biking and just doing things for the love of doing it. And I've covered the 140.6 mile distance close to 200 times now, and I'm really satisfied. And I'm despite all of the the negativity or bad and perception between myself and the Ironman brand, dude, they were such a gift to me. And continue to be so. They shaped my life. They've inspired. Like I watched every episode of the broadcast
Mm.
when they did Kona. I even went back and watched all the old renditions, I've seen it all. I've consumed it all. It was just so inspiring, and I owe a lot to the Ironman brand, and I just wish they had treated us a little bit differently and recognized that, dude, I'm your ally. I literally sent thousands of athletes to your platform, and I've never asked for a dime. In fact, I've given you probably close to $100,000 in race entry fees. And so it was just a little hurtful to get, letters from their attorneys saying, you cannot say that word, Ironman, in what you're doing. And I get it. I understand it. They've built a brand and they want it to stay consistent. But I just wish they would have recognized that we can all play in the same sandbox.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they've just done such, this is my like final thing. Like they've done just such a great job at creating a brand. They're brilliant marketers, and it's now just become public use. Like it's so common. It's like Band-Aid or Xerox or any of these Kleenex. Those are brands that people now associate with a certain thing. And congratulations, Iron Man. You've done such an amazing job at creating a brand that people associate that distance with that word. And so I see it all over. I love the brand. I don't agree with some of the decisions that they've made, but they have given me such a platform. They've given me such opportunity, and it will forever be a huge part of who I am. And I'm eternally grateful. And I'm grateful for you and calling so many amazing athletes through so many finish lines and welcoming me with open arms every time. You've never said a bad thing about me, and it was just so welcoming. Every time I heard you would say, James Lawrence, you are an Iron Man, it meant that I was on heading to the next part of my journey. And every time that finish line was so special, and you don't know it, but we got to share a lot of moments together.
I
And
know.
so
I
I've just
know.
been grateful for Iron Man and you and the platform that you guys were able to create.
Yeah. James, in sport and life, who do you admire? Obviously the family and Sonny, your wife, but is there anybody sports figures you admire for some of the things they have done or how they lead their lives?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's interesting because I've learned that I have to separate um, someone's personal life from their athletic achievements. Sometimes you have to separate those two, and look at certain pieces of it because we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes, and many of us can't comprehend um, life decisions we would make personally if we were given that much money, right? Those athletes at the
Yeah.
highest
Yeah.
levels. And so I think we have to kind of separate that. But for me, if I was to isolate one athlete who I think has it together across everything he does, it's an MMA fighter from Canada called George St. Pierre. And to me, he signifies discipline, respect, hard work, consistency, performing at the highest level, being a world champion multiple times, defending your title, um, talking to people in a respectful way, encouraging people, creating community, excuse me. And I just love watching any athlete at a high, and I'm just talking athleticism. I'm just talking like
Right.
inside sports right now. Um, Athletes that changed the way a sport was played. They changed a sport. A couple examples: Wayne Gretzky changed hockey. Michael Jordan LeBron James, Steph Curry changed basketball. Conor McGregor changed the fight game. Tiger Woods changed golf. Everybody in the golf world should be thanking Tiger Woods for what he did on the golf course, because you guys are multi millionaires because of those paydays. Fighters now, the game changed because of Conor McGregor. Um, Love him or hate him, Lance Armstrong changed cycling. There's so many examples of an athlete on their field that did it for such a long period of time with such an amazing, like LeBron James, 20 years in his career, still posting career highs.
Hmm.
That's remarkable to do that. And so for me, the true sign of an athlete is someone that's done it at the highest level for a very long period of time, because that means they understand basics, fundamentals, and the true secret to success is doing a lot of little things consistently over a long period of time. And so I have a wall of champions in my office, not in this room, but in an office. And it's got guys like Kobe Bryant and
Uh,
and Conor McGregor and Tiger Woods and Serena Williams and all of these people, Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, all these guys that changed the way people view, participate, and watch a sport. Like they're legendary in that aspect.
so I know about this event quite a bit. I've talked to a lot of people that have done it, but you said it was probably the toughest triathlon you ever did, the Norseman. That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, the Norseman, it's an unbelievable race. It's a race in Norway. It's a full distance triathlon. They boat you out into the Norwegian fjord. You jump off this boat into freezing cold waters, and it's a one-way ticket back to shore. You climb over a couple mountain passes, and then the run is up a mountain. and I've had an opportunity to do it 3 times now, and all 3 times I've gotten the black shirt, which is the coveted black shirt
Yeah.
that you want. And actually now we are part of the X Tri series, and we host an event in Utah called Starvation X Tri, and it's actually the only U.S. qualifier for the World Championships in Norway. So if you want to challenge yourself, you can look it up.
Wow.
It's starvationxtri.com, and you want to find out what you're going to do if you're willing to take the next step. Come to Utah, and we'll have an experience. And in fact, for the 2024 edition, I'm going to toe the line of our race here in Utah, and I truly believe it is the hardest full distance triathlon in the world.
What's the date of the one in Utah?
August 3rd, 2024.
August. Okay. Wait, tell us about Iron Grit. What's Iron Grit experience all about?
Yeah, I'm so excited about this a new adventure we're going on, and it's called the Iron Grit Experience. And literally, I've had an amazing career. I've been speaking for over 10 years,
Right.
and every time I get off the stage, I get the question, "How do I become more mentally tough?" And you can be motivated and inspired and all of it, but it means nothing unless you take an action. And it's hard for people to create experiences in their lives where they are pushed physically and mentally. And so we have created, which I'm calling my gift back to the community, an Iron Grit experience that has nothing to do with triathlon, but it is a emotional, spiritual, physical, mental journey over 3 days where we come together as a small group of 20 to 30 people, and we talk about motivation and connection and breath work and some physical challenges and all these different things. And it's the opportunity to have that experience where you're going to ask yourself, am I going to take the next step? Am I going to continue to show up my journey? And that's truly how you become more mentally tough. And so our first one is actually in 1 week from today of this recording in Kanab, Utah. And then in 2024, we've got one in Sundance, Utah, one in San Diego. And then our flagship event next year is going to be on a private British island the weekend of May 29th. And it's going to be an unbelievable experience.
Wow.
If you've got availability, if you've got the means, come join me. It's going to be limited to 25 people. It's going to be incredible.
You got to let me know when the San Diego one is. I'd love to come by. See what
Oh, for sure, man. That'll be a blast.
Yeah. I'd love to be a.
We'll have you be a VIP guest speaker.
Okay. What satisfaction do you get out of public speaking?
Well, it's crazy, Mike, because I'm an introvert. It's hard to tell with my social media and my family and the racing and everything that I do. But if my old friends from high school came randomly were mistakenly in one of the audience that I was in, they'd be like, "Who is that guy?"
Yeah.
Just because I get up there, I'm very passionate about our journey, the lessons that we've learned, and ultimately, I've just realized that people have lost hope on the journey that they're on. and our team's willingness to suffer intentionally has given people hope on their journey. And so what I get out of it is, when somebody, and you guarantee you've experienced this, when someone comes up to me and says, you don't know me, but you just changed my life. And then you get an email and someone says, hey, you spoke 6 months ago and I was too scared to come up and talk to you, because of where I was in my life, but I've now made these changes and this is where I'm at today. And that fills my bucket so full,
Hmm.
Mike.
Hmm.
When someone says, you know, because of what you guys did, it impacted me and it gave me hope on my journey. And I think that's what everybody's goal in life should be, is to show up in their lives, and recognize that even though you don't realize it, that people are watching you, and the ripple effect that you can have, the impact that you can have, is enormous. And it's about
Hmm.
the legacy that we leave behind, small or big. And the best example I can give to that is 4 years ago, Chris Nikic's family sat down and watched the Iron Cowboy documentary that was on
Yeah.
Netflix. And he said, if that guy can do 50, I can do one. And his platform is huge now. How many people is he motivating and inspiring? And that
Oh,
ripple
oh,
effect continues to grow. And I often ask myself, what would have happened if I quit somewhere on that journey and we didn't produce that documentary? What's Chris doing today? And now, how many people is he inspiring and motivating? And so it's just like, can just show up on your journey. Like day 80, just show up and try, because you truly have no idea the legacy, the impact that you can have. One moment can change someone's life. And that's truly the greatest gift that you can give back to anybody.
yeah. Chris has affected, I mean, hundreds of thousands of people. His story. I'll tell you, when he did his first Ironman at Ironman Florida, November of 2020, I'm making the call. Nobody's at the finish line. It's pandemic. It's a wonder the race was even put on. But he's out there pushing, pushing. When he came in, as he turned the corner, I actually, I almost lost it. I have always been able to, keep it together no matter who it is. But for something hit me about that. I was a special ed teacher, and something just hit me about it. Like, oh my gosh, I've seen a lot of history at finish lines where history was made. You've made history, but for some reason, that one just dug deep to the core. And my voice started cracking, bringing them in. And it wasn't like my voice was hurting, but it was just so impactful that even today when I talk about it, because I knew it was going to be out there for the future to be able to grab and hold, and all the parents of Down syndrome children and what it was going to do. So it was a magic moment in our sport, and I hope people follow Chris too.
Yeah, a special kid, special family. I was thrilled to be just the smallest part of kickstarting that journey. And then what an honor to guide him at the Chicago
Yeah.
Marathon last Sunday. And we're trying to create a path to in Kona next year where I get to be his guide there. And I'll kind of like sign off to the Ironman world at that moment. But
Yeah.
just an honor to be part of his journey, and just that small piece being part of his legacy, and the thousands of people that he's been able to impact and empower.
So I don't want to keep you much longer. I know you're a busy man and you've got more workout to do today. You hear me?
Yes, sir. I'll get it
So
done.
one of my last questions is it's called tri-table racing. I've got friends that race the Baja 1000,
Mm.
and I've been a second seat on the 1000 race, and
Oh, cool.
riding a bike 200 miles is easier than sitting in that second seat
I bet.
anyway. They sit around afterwards. They call it table racing. They reminisce about the event, what went wrong, what went right, all that good stuff. I call this tri-table racing. Reminisce with us a moment of an event, something about event, something that happened during an event. You've got so many memories. What comes to your mind right now to tri-table race with us?
Yeah, one of the greatest moments of my entire career, aside from like my kids being present and experiencing the entire community with my family, was during that 2012 world record, when I had an opportunity to pull a boy with cerebral palsy
Mm.
through an entire event. And we struggled and had problems, and it's just that part of my journey was inspired by the legends Rick and Dick Hoyt, and,
Hmm.
and watching him and do that for his son. And I was like, man, if I could ever have the opportunity to do that for a young man, I would jump at it. And so on race 27 of 30, the week before Ironman Arizona, I had that opportunity, and I got to pull a young man named Dayton with cerebral palsy through 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and a 26.2 marathon run. And it was an incredible experience. And I just kept looking back at him and thinking, man, Dayton can't ride a bike, and I get to ride my bike today. And Dayton can't run, and I get to run tonight. And I think in life we just get caught up in so much of the noise and the bull crap and the small petty things that we forget that we get to wake up every single day and have one more day, one more chance, one more opportunity, one more experience, one more hug, that was one of the greatest finish lines and
Hmm.
experiences that I got to have. And when our entire team was there and we got to put that medal around Dayton's neck, that was probably the highlight of my career. To be
Wow.
able to do that for him, to have that experience, to learn the lessons from a young man who's just trapped inside of his body that doesn't get to do a lot of the things that we get to do. And so it was my honor. And now my mission is to help as many people achieve their version of whatever impossible is to them.
Beautiful story. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. So how can people find you? How can they buy your book? Come on, how can they connect? Let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, we're active on social media. On Instagram, it's Iron Cowboy James. You can buy our book, Redefine Impossible. And I'm super excited. You're going to love this, Mike. We're releasing our new book next year. It's called Iron Hope. And
Oh, I
it's
love
because
it.
we want to help everybody gain hope and perspective on their life and their journey. And then our new documentary is also going to be premiering, hopefully at the Sundance Film Festival here in Utah in January. And so everything is going to be on ironcowboy.com or on Instagram at Iron Cowboy James. Give us a follow, give us a like. We love to help as many people as we can, whether it's through inspiration or advice. We just love communicating with the community. I'm an open book. I answer all my DMs. Send me a question if you have it. Just love to give back.
James, it's as simple as this. Thank you very much for being you and especially continuing to be you. So give your best to your lovely family and wife, Sunny. It's been an honor to have you on the show, and people like you make our lives harder, which makes it easier. So thank you very much. Aloha to you, James Lawrence.
Well, I appreciate it, Mike. And if you do me a favor, say it one more time. The finish line, the greeting. I'm just going to close my eyes and I just want to hear you say it.
James Lawrence, you are an Ironman.
Yeah, I love you, brother. Thank you so much. What a moment, and God bless.
You got it. So if you enjoyed the show today, please subscribe to become notified of upcoming shows. Give us a review if you would. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, or go to my website, mikeriley.net. You're the cause of your own experiences. Make them positive each and every day, and it'll get you to your finish line. Take care, everybody. Aloha.